How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas Eve. We say Merry Christmas on this channel, and in the spirit of Christmas, in the spirit of the holidays and the end of 2024, we have a big show today. One of our favorite senators, Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky, just released a bombshell of a report called the Festivus Report 2024 after wrapping up his anti-waste probe, shining this big, fat, giant light on where exactly our tax dollars went, who in Congress approves this crap, and just how crazy, how insidious some of these projects were. We're going to get into it. But before we get started, thank you for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps out the channel. And consider subscribing so you don't miss these regular updates. So after 70 plus years of government expansion, of the US government growing larger and larger and larger, this is the first time we may be able to break the tide. Ladies and gentlemen, we are living in a crazy rare moment in history where the machine, the beast that is the US federal government, could be shrunken, could be tamed in size thanks to Donald Trump, thanks to Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, an outside vehicle, really a watchdog group, which is what it is right now, stopping the thievery by Washington. The whole concept is brilliant. Elon and X's power is awesome. And any of the naysayers on cable television and the politicians claiming DOGE won't work, it can't work because it's not even a real department, good. That's what's so brilliant about it. And we know, we have proof that it works after last week, the Congress trying to pass this big, fat, giant omnibus bill with 1,500 pages of bloat and fat. The swamp creatures in D.C. trying to pass this in the dead of night, giving people just hours to read through 1,500 pages. That was stopped and fixed because of DOGE, because of X. The power of the people with their voice on X stopped it from happening, fixed it. Watch.
Right now in the past 30 or 40 minutes here that they might try to pull this interim spending bill off the floor and maybe just go with a clean bill. Unclear what that means for disaster assistance. Here's what happened. A post on X by Elon Musk sent shockwaves through the Capitol. House Republicans were trying to see if they have enough votes to pass the spending bill in the next hour or two. Musk posted that anyone who votes yes should lose their office in 2 years, and lawmakers are scrambling.
Tweets from Musk, and has that complicated this?
Well, I mean, I think that there's always a lot of interest in what's happening up here, and
this is more than interest. They're telling people if they vote yes, they should be voted out.
The social media world is a part of our politics, and I think members have to expect that. There are going to be a lot of hard votes in the next couple of years.
A member of the House Republican leadership told Fox that Musk is not helping. The lawmaker added that Musk has bigger fish to fry than picking a fight with House Republicans. One source said the bill is now bleeding support from the GOP. When asked how many Democrats the GOP needs to pass the bill, a senior aide replied, quote, a lot.
Elon Musk bought Twitter because that's the only way we would even know what's in this bill. Otherwise, the conspiracy between the government and Twitter would have continued, and this would have all been covered up. But the fact is that Elon Musk exposing this meant that every one of our offices was inundated with calls from our constituents. The American public wanted to see this change. Donald Trump was speaking on behalf of the American public. Again, he's just the president-elect. The current president is AWOL, but Donald Trump stepped up and said, look, this is what needs to happen. And I think all of my constituents were there, or the calls at least that I got in my office. Elon Musk's transparency helped make that happen.
Well, I think as a senator voting, I presume that you do your best to read the bills that you're voting on. I understand it was quite large at the beginning, but to say that it was only Elon Musk that made people aware of what was in it, that can't be true.
No, I'm not saying it was only Elon Musk. We're all struggling to read it, to digest an over 1,500-page bill that we were literally given just hours to comb through.
I'm really not sure people realize yet just how powerful X is, how the power structure in D.C. has shifted so enormously, how X, acting as the voice of the people, was able to kill this bill and save the taxpayers hundreds of billions of dollars in a matter of a few hours. That is a good thing. Realize buried in this original 1,500-page spending bill was a 40% pay increase for Congress. Congressmen receive a salary of like $174,000 a year. They tried to give themselves a raise to $243,000 a year. Snap of the finger. They don't do a good job. There was so much crap in that bill. It's shocking that Republican Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, tried to slip it through. Shocking. It funded Bill Gates' mosquito abatement project. So much crazy nonsense. It also, by the way, diverted approximately $200 billion from Social Security, which most people don't realize, but Congress constantly does this. If you support Social Security, they borrow from the Social Security fund all the time. Quote unquote, steal from us, never pay it back. So the people you see coming out publicly angry about what happened last week, just know they are the people that we're fighting against. They are the people who are robbing this country blind, and they exist on both sides of the aisle. Well, now we have an even greater look at what these sociopaths have been doing with our money after the great senator from Kentucky, Senator Rand Paul, wrapped up his anti-waste probe last week. He does this each year, and he dropped a bombshell of a report yesterday as an early Christmas present for all of us. The report's called the Festivus Report, and it is a bombshell. Some of the stuff his probe found will make your toes curl. Some of it we can't even talk about on this platform. What some of these projects were doing, what HHS has been doing with our money, what Anthony Fauci's old organization has been doing, the NIAID. Here's a preview from Rand Paul himself of what he found. Then we'll go through the actual report together. We'll show some of the details because it's horrifying, folks. Watch this.
And to that end, that is why you had lots of drama over the week, this past week, with critics circling the wagon around Mike Johnson. You just said he doesn't have a spine, and you tweeted out this week. The Speaker of the House need not be a member of Congress. Nothing would disrupt the swamp more than electing Elon Musk. Think about it, you write. Nothing's impossible, not to mention the joy at seeing the collective establishment, a.k.a. the Uniparty, lose their ever-loving minds. Were you serious about this, considering Elon Musk for Speaker?
You know, it might have been a little tongue-in-cheek. I think Elon's got some important stuff to do, building rockets and making Teslas. But I do appreciate his input, and he has changed the debate. He's drawing attention to the things I've been talking about for a decade, the waste. Tomorrow we'll be celebrating Festivus, you know, the made-up Seinfeld holiday. But in that, we will be talking about a lot of the waste we've talked. I mean, ridiculous, crazy things. For example, $760 million spent at the NIH on diversity, equity, inclusion. I thought they were studying science over there. Nope, it's about race. That's crazy. $600,000 to discuss why there are microaggressions among obese Latinx. What does that even mean? Even Latin American people think Latinx is a stupid term. These are people who can't figure out their gender, Latinx, who are fat, who are having microaggressions against each other. This is the insanity. This is why we can't rest until we cut spending, and we can't just raise the debt ceiling without actually cutting spending.
Yeah, I look forward to your list tomorrow on this Festivus holiday, the made-up holiday, where you're going to come up with all of that. That's incredible, that list that you just gave us right there.
Yes, Elon Musk or Vivek should absolutely be Speaker of the House. I'm 100% a yes vote on that. Take a look at this, the Festivus Report 2024. This report found a whopping $1 trillion, with a T, $1 trillion in government waste in 2024, this year alone. That's spending that Trump can just cut out immediately. $1 trillion, without even touching the military, without even touching Social Security or Medicare, just mind-numbing, wasteful spending on projects and events that will blow your lid. This year, I'm highlighting a whopping $1 trillion plus. That's over $1 trillion in government waste, including things like ice skating drag queens, a $12 million Las Vegas pickleball complex, $4.8 million on Ukrainian influencers, and more. No matter how much money the government has wasted, politicians keep demanding even more, he says. So look, I'm going to highlight some of the worst, all right? There's 41 pages packed to the brim full of insane spending, like, for example, taxpayers funding a disinformation index. The Department of State, DOS, wasted 330 grand to fund censorship of non-liberal and conservative media. We know a lot about that from the Twitter files, or the federal government spending $7 million plus on various magical projects. Magical projects. We're going to get to these. What are these magical projects he's talking about? Well, HHS, the federal department that surprisingly, you may not know this, I didn't until recently, has the largest budget of the entire federal government. HHS. Even larger, almost twice that of the Pentagon. Can you believe that? Larger than the Pentagon. Take a look at this. Again, just one of hundreds of crazy, cruel, and inhumane projects that we're paying for. The Department of Health and Human Services spent 419 grand to determine if lonely rats seek cocaine more than happy rats. One of these studies examining cocaine use took place at NYU. They received 419,000 plus from the Department of Health and Human Services to investigate whether rats placed in positive environments would be more likely to abstain from cocaine than rats in negative and isolating environments. Now, we're going to get to why this is just so ridiculous, but hold on. Researchers first placed rats in small compartments and injected them with cocaine to create a positive association with that location. The rats were then divided into different test groups. One group was allowed to socialize and had substantial access to food and toys. The other group was kept in isolation with no toys and limited access to food. Here's where it gets good. They say, following this project, following this experiment, following lockdowns, NYU determined the isolation of people led to increased levels of anxiety, depression, loneliness, and drug usage. You think? Obviously, anyone could tell you that. Did the US government really need to waste money coming to this conclusion? How about this? Beyond the nearly $200 billion in aid that we've sent so far to Ukraine, $200 billion with a B since the start of the war, somebody over at the Department of State or the State Department thought it was a brilliant idea to drop an additional $4.8 million for Kyiv, Ukraine public affairs influencer staff. $5 million on TikTok propaganda. That's what that is, propaganda. Influencers, waste, complete waste. Here's another one. DEI for bird watchers, 300 grand to ensure bird watching is DEI friendly and there are safe spaces for affinity groups. 20 million on the Fertilize Right initiative to advance fertilizer use in Pakistan, Vietnam, Colombia, and Brazil. $20 million. But here's where it gets really bad, twisted. Fauci-funded feline cove experiments. Once again, Dr. Anthony Fauci, Rand Paul says, and his NIAID are experimenting on animals in the name of science. We all remember Beaglegate, where Dr. Fauci gave 375 grand to a Tunisian dog lab that drugged and locked beagles' heads in mesh cages with biting flies to be eaten alive, all for the essential scientific study, of course. Now, if you don't know about Beaglegate, I mean, you really don't want to. It's horrifying. There's video footage that they released about this. Absolutely horrifying. If you're a dog lover like I am, an animal lover in general, you do not want to see this. But, I mean, that's what these people are doing. That's what they're doing with our money. And now, instead of puppies and dogs, Dr. Fauci's targeting kittens and cats. Look at this. Well, this time, Dr. Fauci's NIAID and the USDA spent $2.24 million this year to study whether cats can contract and transmit the cove. The methodology of the experiment requires scientists to infect perfectly healthy cats with cove, watch them suffer through infection for different lengths of time, and then kill them in groups of 4. It's sick and twisted. Look, I'm a huge animal lover. None of this is okay. Fauci's beagle experiment, if you never heard about that, I mean, you could look it up if you want to. He should be prosecuted for that, for animal cruelty, in my opinion. Anyways, thank you, Senator Paul. This really wasn't a good Christmas present. This was like a Christmas present from the Grinch, but we appreciate it regardless. All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.